I went to Delaware because my uncle needed someone to check on his beach house before summer started. The place had been empty for months. No neighbors nearby. No lights for miles once the sun disappeared. Just dunes, cold wind, and the sound of the ocean crashing somewhere in the dark. My uncle handed me the keys before I left and laughed. "House is huge, so don't freak yourself out in there alone." At the time, I laughed too. I wish I hadn't. The house itself was massive. 3 floors. Old wooden stairs that creaked under every step. Long hallways. Too many rooms. And something about the inside felt wrong. Not dirty. Not abandoned. Just watched. I spent most of the afternoon doing basic maintenance. Checking pipes. Turning the water back on. Testing lights. Cleaning dust off furniture covered in white sheets. By evening, the weather changed. The sky turned gray. Wind slammed against the windows hard enough to make the glass shake. The ocean sounded louder now, almost angry. I ordered food, watched random videos on my phone, and tried ignoring the weird feeling growing in my stomach. Every sound inside that house echoed. A tap upstairs sounded like someone dropping something beside you. The vents whined constantly. And sometimes, I'd hear footsteps above me. Slow. Heavy. Then silence. I kept telling myself it was an old beach house settling in the wind. That explanation worked, until midnight. I was laying in bed in one of the guest rooms on the 2nd floor when I heard something inside my room. A soft movement. Like fabric brushing against wood. I froze. The sound came again. Right beside me. From the closet. At first I thought maybe a coat had shifted because of air coming through the vent, but then I heard it clearly. Breathing. Slow, uneven breathing. I sat up immediately and stared at the closet door. The room was almost completely dark except for faint moonlight leaking through the curtains. The closet door was cracked open. Just slightly. I remember whispering to myself, "Nope." I grabbed my phone flashlight and slowly walked toward it. Every step felt heavier than the last. The breathing stopped. I reached for the handle and yanked the door open fast. Nothing. Just hanging clothes and storage boxes. I checked every corner anyway. Empty. I actually laughed nervously after that because I felt stupid. I shut the closet door and climbed back into bed. But I couldn't sleep anymore. I kept staring at the ceiling listening to the storm outside. Then eventually, somehow, I drifted off. I don't know how long I was asleep before it happened. But suddenly, my eyes opened. And I couldn't move. At first I thought I was still dreaming. My entire body felt heavy. Like concrete pressing down on my chest. I tried lifting my arms. Nothing. Tried speaking. Nothing came out. That's when I noticed someone standing in the corner of my room. Tall. Completely still. Watching me. I could barely breathe. My eyes locked onto the figure while panic exploded inside my head. The room was dark, but I could make out enough to know it was a man. Dirty clothes. Thin body. Head tilted slightly. Just staring at me. I tried screaming. Nothing. Then slowly, the man moved. Not toward me. Toward the closet. He opened it carefully and stepped inside. The door clicked shut. The second it closed, I could move again. I shot upright gasping for air so hard my chest hurt. I immediately turned on the lamp beside the bed. The room was empty. But the closet door was closed now. I know I left it open earlier. I stared at it for maybe 10 seconds before forcing myself to stand up. Every instinct in my body told me not to touch that door. But I did. I ripped it open. Nothing inside. No person. No movement. Nothing. At that point I convinced myself it had all been sleep paralysis. That had to be it. There was no other explanation. I stayed awake the rest of the night with every light on in the room. Around maybe 3 a.m. I finally started calming down. Then I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow. Dragging. Back and forth. I froze again. The third floor was supposed to be empty. I grabbed a flashlight from downstairs and stood at the bottom of the staircase listening. The footsteps continued. Then stopped. Silence. I remember calling out, "Hello?" No answer. Just wind outside. I slowly walked upstairs. Each stair creaked so loudly it felt impossible for anyone up there not to hear me. The third floor hallway was dark. My flashlight barely lit the end of it. And that's when I saw something move. Fast. A shadow disappearing around the corner. I ran after it instantly, adrenaline taking over. But when I reached the end of the hallway, nothing. Just empty rooms. Then I heard it. Directly behind me. A whisper. So quiet I almost thought I imagined it. "Don't." I spun around so fast I nearly fell. Nobody there. At that point I was done. I locked myself back inside the bedroom and waited for sunrise with a kitchen knife beside me. The second morning came. I called my uncle and told him someone might actually be inside the house. He thought I was overreacting at first until I explained everything. That's when his tone changed. Apparently, a nearby house had recently been broken into by homeless squatters during the winter. He told me to leave immediately and call the police. So I did. 2 officers arrived about 40 minutes later. I expected them to search the rooms and find nothing. Honestly, part of me hoped that would happen. Instead, one of them noticed something strange outside. There were footprints leading around the back of the house. The officers followed them. And then they looked up. There was a small access hatch near the roof. One officer climbed up while the other stayed below. A minute later I heard yelling. Then, "Get down here now." They pulled a man out from inside the roof space. Thin. Dirty beard. Sunken eyes. The exact same man I saw during the sleep paralysis. My stomach dropped instantly. The officers later explained he'd apparently been living inside the roof area for weeks, maybe longer. There were food wrappers. Blankets. Water bottles. He'd been sneaking through parts of the house at night while nobody was there. And the creepiest part? There was a vent connected from the roof space, directly above my closet. Meaning when I heard breathing that night, it was real. But even now, years later, one thing still doesn't make sense to me. The police said the man never went into my room. They claimed there was no evidence he'd been downstairs that night at all. No footprints. No signs of forced entry into the bedroom. Nothing. So if that's true, then who was standing in the corner watching me while I couldn't move? The beach house had always felt strange at night. Not haunted. Not abandoned. Just, wrong. The kind of wrong you can't explain until the sun disappears and the ocean turns black outside the windows. It was late October when Marcus and Ethan drove down to the Jersey Shore for the weekend. The summer tourists were gone. Most of the neighboring houses sat empty, their windows dark and lifeless. The beach itself looked dead. Just cold wind. Crashing waves. And silence. The house belonged to Marcus's uncle. A tall 3-story place built almost too close to the water. Gray wood siding. Narrow hallways. Old floorboards that creaked even when nobody moved. Marcus had been there before as a kid. Back then, he remembered hearing strange noises at night. Footsteps upstairs. Doors opening. The sound of furniture dragging across the floor. His uncle always blamed the wind. Ethan laughed when Marcus mentioned it. Dude, every old beach house sounds creepy. Maybe he was right. At first, everything felt normal. They ordered takeout. Watched movies. Played cards while rain tapped against the windows. But around 1:30 a.m., the power flickered. Just once. The lights dimmed for half a second before returning. Ethan looked toward the ceiling. You see that? Marcus nodded slowly. Outside, the wind had gotten louder. The house groaned softly around them. Then came the sound. Beep. A sharp, piercing electronic screech exploded somewhere upstairs. Both men froze instantly. The noise stopped after 2 seconds. Then silence returned. Ethan frowned. What the hell was that? Marcus forced a laugh. Smoke detector maybe. But even he didn't believe it. The sound hadn't come from the ceiling. It sounded intentional. Mechanical, like some kind of alarm. They waited. Nothing happened. Marcus stood up first. Come on. The staircase creaked beneath their feet as they climbed toward the second floor. Every step felt heavier than the last. The hallway upstairs was dark except for a dim lamp near the bathroom. No sound. No movement. Ethan checked the guest rooms one by one. Empty. The beeping had stopped completely. Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. Maybe it came from outside. Then. Beep. This time it exploded directly above them. Third floor. Louder. Sharper. Almost painful. Ethan jumped. Jesus Christ. Marcus stared toward the ceiling. The third floor was supposed to be empty. His uncle never used it anymore. In fact, Marcus suddenly realized something strange. He had never actually been up there before. Not once. The stairs leading upward were narrow and dark. No lights waited above them. Only blackness. And the sound of the ocean outside. Ethan whispered, "You hear that?" Marcus listened carefully. Soft movement. Very faint. Like someone shifting their weight upstairs. Both men stopped breathing. "Hello?" Marcus called. No answer. The third floor remained silent. Then. Beep. The sound erupted again. Closer now. Almost directly over their heads. Marcus grabbed the flashlight from his phone and slowly climbed the stairs. Each wooden step groaned beneath him. The air upstairs felt colder. Much colder. The beam of light shook in his hand as the third floor came into view. 3 small rooms. Dusty walls. White sheets covering old furniture. And all the windows were wide open. Cold ocean wind blasted through the rooms violently, causing curtains to whip around like ghosts. Ethan cursed quietly. Why are the windows open? Marcus stepped farther in. The floor was covered with random junk. Boxes. Old clothes. Torn papers. But something else caught his attention immediately. One of the beds looked disturbed. The pillow had been moved recently. Marcus slowly approached it. The beeping suddenly returned. Beep. Right beside him. Ethan nearly screamed. Marcus ripped the pillow away. And found it. A tiny black electronic device. No bigger than a phone charger. One blinking red light. And a speaker. Beep. The sound blasted again. Ethan grabbed it immediately. What is this thing? Marcus stared at it silently. The device felt warm. Like it had been running for hours. Then Ethan noticed something terrifying. There's tape on the back. Marcus turned it over. A battery pack. Fresh batteries. Recently installed. Someone had placed it there. Recently. A cold feeling spread through Marcus's stomach. Did your uncle put this here? Marcus shook his head instantly. No way. Ethan pressed one of the buttons. Nothing happened. But suddenly, the red light blinked rapidly. Then the device emitted a low static crackle. Like someone trying to connect to it remotely. Marcus felt his chest tighten. Bro. Ethan looked pale now. I think somebody's controlling this. The entire house suddenly creaked loudly beneath them. Not from wind. From weight. Like someone moving downstairs. Both men froze. Another creak followed. Slow. Deliberate. Ethan whispered, "There's someone here." Marcus killed the flashlight instantly. Darkness swallowed the entire floor. The only thing visible now was the blinking red light from the device. Blink, blink, blink. Downstairs. A floorboard snapped loudly. Marcus's heart slammed against his ribs. Someone was definitely inside the house. Neither of them moved. Neither of them breathed. Then came the sound that Marcus would never forget. A slow, heavy, footstep, directly beneath the third-floor stairs. Ethan mouthed silently, "Call the police." Marcus nodded carefully and pulled out his phone. No signal. Of course. The storm outside had killed it. Another footstep echoed below them. Then another. Whoever it was, they were coming upstairs. Ethan backed away slowly, gripping the black device tightly. The staircase creaked again. Closer. Marcus could actually hear breathing now. Low. Calm. Patient. The figure climbing the stairs wasn't rushing. That was the worst part. They moved like they knew the house perfectly. Marcus's hands trembled violently. The darkness near the stairwell shifted slightly. Someone was there. Watching them. Then suddenly. The black device in Ethan's hand let out one final deafening scream. Beep. At the exact same moment. The figure downstairs ran upward. Fast. Marcus yelled. Ethan dropped the device. Both of them bolted across the third floor and slammed the nearest bedroom door shut. Something crashed against the hallway wall outside. Heavy footsteps thundered toward them. Marcus shoved a dresser against the door while Ethan searched desperately for something to use as a weapon. The doorknob rattled violently. Once. Twice. Then stopped. Silence. Only the sound of the ocean remained. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Minutes passed. Then finally. Police sirens appeared outside. Red and blue lights flashed through the open windows. The officers searched the house immediately, but they found no intruder. No footprints. No signs of forced entry. Nothing. Except the third floor. One officer came back downstairs looking disturbed. "You boys said you haven't been up there before tonight?" Marcus nodded slowly. The officer stared at him. "Then why does it look like somebody's been living up there?" Marcus felt sick. The police found food wrappers. Blankets. Water bottles. Fresh cigarette ashes. Someone had absolutely been staying on the third floor. Possibly for days. Maybe longer. But the worst discovery came last. One officer held up the small black device inside an evidence bag. "It's homemade," he said quietly. Marcus asked, "What does it do?" The officer looked toward the dark staircase. Then answered softly. "It's a remote trigger alarm." Ethan frowned. "What's that mean?" The officer's expression turned cold. "It means somebody activates it when they want people to know they're inside the house."